Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Ways and Means Committee. It's Friday, April 2nd. Thank you for your patience as we end the prior meeting. We have 9 bills on our voting list plus 3 bills with concurrences. We'll start with a pair of bills, House Bill 1259 and Senate Bill 919.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Both House Bill 1259 and Senate Bill 919 deal with altering the distribution to the Fair Hill Improvement Fund from the amount wagered at race days and alters specified requirements regarding racing at the Fair Hill Natural Resources Management Area. In terms of House Bill 1259, Amendment 1 is technical. Amendment 2 clarifies the amount that is deducted from the racing handle and distributed to the Fair Hill Improvement Fund and strikes provisions authorizing appropriations to the fund. Move favorable.
On the amendments to 1259, is there a second?
Second.
Oh, I see a second from Delegate Hornberger. Very nice. Any questions on the amendments? All those in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And on the bill as amended, Delegate Patterson?
I move favorable.
Second.
Motion and a second from the sponsor. Any questions on the bill as amended? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
With the cross-file, Madam Chair, the amendment to Senate Bill 919, the amendment number one is technical. Amendment number 2 strikes provisions mandating appropriations to the Fair Hill Amendment Fund. Move the amendments.
Second.
Thank you, Delegate Hornberger. Any questions on the amendments to basically conform this to the last bill? All those in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Any opposed? And on the bill as amended, Delegate?
Move favorable.
Second.
Motion from Delegate Patterson, second from Delegate Hornberger. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. Delegate Washington, House Bill 1376.
Thank you, Madam Chair. House Bill 1376 is the virtual education bill. As amended, this bill substantially alters how virtual education is provided in the state. The bill requires that PSTEB develop training for teachers in virtual education that adheres to best practice principles for virtual education. The bill creates a Flip the Classroom pilot program in which teachers will record lectures of students to view asynchronously as homework and then work in class to apply the lectures. After 3 years, the results of the will be studied using established evidentiary standards. The bill modifies the process by which virtual education courses can be approved in the state. Under the bill, these courses can no longer be developed by third parties, but must be developed at the behest of a county board, either by the county board or by MSDE. Courses offered synchronously, not in hybrid form, and the teachers who provide them will have other duties reduced. The bill sets up requirements for temporary virtual schools. Boards must establish a temporary education plan to be used under required virtual education periods that puts in place several practices that will govern education in these circumstances, including provisions for check-ins, behavioral health protections, and measuring learning loss. The bill prohibits MSDE from approving any virtual schools over the next 2 years until MSDE conducts a thorough review into virtual learning to study the best methods to go about it. After the study, MSDE must set criteria for the establishment of virtual schools based on the result of its study. The bill also sets a minimal criteria that must be used in establishing a virtual school. That's what the amendments do, Madam Chair, and I move the amendments.
Any questions on the amendments? All right, all those in favor of the amendments?
Aye.
Any opposed? Oh, Delegate Rose, are you opposed? I would just want to make sure I caught your hand at the right time.
Was this in the amendments?
Yes.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Haven distracted me.
He's distracting. I understand. Delegate Washington on the bill as amended.
Move favorable, Madam Chair.
Second.
Any questions on the bill as amended? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Madam Chair, can I just, oh, never mind.
Wait 1 second. All right. Unanimous minus long. Unanimous, I'm sorry, party line minus long, now party line. Sorry.
No.
Okay. Yes, Delegate, Mr. Vice Chair.
I think Mary Ann might have said no too.
No.
Oh, I thought I heard a no over there.
You said no a lot of times right there.
But not this time.
All right, cool.
I'm
No,
on board.
I just wanted to thank Alistair and the advocates and the subcommittee for having so many different work sessions on this bill, Madam Chair, and for all the hard work that everyone put into it. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your good work. Delegate Lutke, you have the next 4 bills.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair. We will start with Senate Bill 19, which is the Biotech Investment Incentive Tax Credit Reform Bill from the department. As introduced, the bill reduces the percentage value of the credit, both the regular and the enhanced credit. The idea behind that is to sort of spread the wealth a little bit and make sure more companies have an opportunity to gain access. It establishes objectives for the program, and it sets on as 12 years the maximum amount of time that a business, QMBC, can participate in the program, and also sets caps on the amount of investments from the fund that can go to specific biotechnology companies and lifetime caps for those companies. All of those provisions in the bill as introduced were non-controversial in the subcommittee. There were some amendments adopted by the subcommittee. The more non-controversial ones included some reporting language that we added to the bill and some study language that we added to the bill to ask the department to take a second look at some specific issues that the subcommittee is concerned about. There were 2 amendments that were added that passed by split votes. One of them would, for the first time, establish a sunset date on the biotech investment credit. As with other credits, we use sunset dates as a way to force periodic review of and reform of credits. So that sunset would be set in 2028. And then the second provision that passed in a split vote in subcommittee was a provision saying that after the first 5 years, a company's founders and employees could no longer be recipients of the credit. The idea being to push the credit more towards attracting outside investment instead of rewarding people that may already be investing in the company as a matter of personal self-interest. So I would move those amendments, Madam Chair.
Is there
Second.
any questions on the amendments? All those in favor of the amendments?
Aye.
Any opposed? Delegate Shoemaker, Delegate Rose, Delegate Long, Delegate Boatler. That was 4 votes against: Boatler, Long, Shoemaker, and Rose. And on the bill as amended, Delegate Lutke?
Move favorable.
Second.
Any questions on the bill as amended? All those in favor of the bill as amended? Any opposed? On the bill as amended. Okay, party line on Senate Bill 19. Thank you. Delegate 80.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senate Bill 80 is a file of Delegate Feldmark's bill that makes some alterations to TEDCO, including renaming their executive directorship and some changes to the board. You'll recall that that our committee had added a provision to the House cross-file of this bill, which would require one of the 2 higher ed members to be from an HBCU. In the Senate, an amendment was added to both the House bill and this bill, which would set a limit of 8 years on the service of any single representative from an HBCU and require rotation of the HBCU membership among different HBCUs. There was concern from our subcommittee that applying that only to the HBCUs was potentially discriminatory. And so we negotiated a compromise language which applies that standard to both higher ed seats. So both higher ed seats, which include the HBCU seat, but could also use a representative from a PWI, a predominantly white institution, would prospectively have an 8-year rotation to different institutions. So I move that amendment.
Second.
Are there any questions on those amendments? All right, all those in favor of the amendments?
Aye.
Any opposed? And on the bill as amended,
Move favorable.
Second.
questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, that was unanimous. Senate Bill 160.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senate Bill 160 is another departmental bill from the Department of Commerce, and it's in line with some of the discussions we've been having in committee about this credit. The Cybersecurity Investment Incentive Tax Credit Program has been significantly underutilized. Essentially, what the department has proposed in this bill is that it be turned into an innovation investment incentive tax credit with the ability to be applied to different emerging new technology industries. So things like quantum computing and 3D printing and whatever new technologies are coming that we want to try to grow businesses in. Again, the subcommittee was generally supportive of the existing language of the bill. Some amendments. The only controversial piece of the amendment, or the only controversial amendment added to this bill, was a provision similar to on the biotech bill that after 5 years, a founder or employee of one of these companies could not benefit from the credit. So I move the amendments.
Second.
Any questions on the amendments? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? And on the bill as amended?
Move favorable.
Second.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we got party line on that one. All right, next bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senate Bill 196 is the final departmental bill that we have from Commerce. This one made some changes to the R&D tax credit. Among other things, it eliminates the basic credit and puts all of that money, basically the entirety of the R&D tax credit, into the growth credit, which is aimed at incenting growth in R&D spending instead of just rewarding companies that are already doing R&D spending, and makes a number of other changes to the credit. The committee was supportive. The only amendment that we added was an amendment that added intent language to define what the goal of the credit is, which is something we've been trying to do on all of our business tax credit programs. So I move that amendment.
Second.
Any questions on that amendment? Santi?
Yeah, it's not on the amendment, it's on the bill.
Okay, I'll wait. All those in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? And on the bill as amended, Delegate Lutke?
Favorable.
Second.
Questions? Delegate Lasanti?
Yeah, thank you. And Mr. Chairman, I just have a quick question on these departmental bills with all of these tax credit programs. Do them have a reporting mechanism back to the committee that says that where these go, which individual businesses they go to, so that we can see where these monies are being spent in which districts, which part of the states, which part of the state they're going to?
I haven't seen data on geographic distribution of where the credits go. There is significant reporting on all of the whole range of business tax credits we have in the state. We passed a bill last year, for example, to require them to report to the extent they're able to gather it, the percentage of MBEs that gain access to these credits. But I don't know of, and Delegate Palakovich-Carr reads word for word every one of these reports, so she may be able to correct me, but I don't believe I've seen anything that talks about geographic distribution. I will say that a number of these credits have enhanced tax credits in certain regions of the state that essentially need more business investment.
Okay.
So, for example, tier 1 counties or, places
Sure.
like that, Baltimore City.
Okay, thanks.
Look, thank you for that question, Delegate Lasanti. Delegate Palakovich-Carr, do you want to add to that?
Yes, just very briefly. One of the pieces of legislation that we passed last year requires Commerce to have a more up-to-date online database of who the recipients are for all of these tax credits. It hasn't been implemented yet, but there is some basic data that's on there from their old legacies.
Delegate Palakovich-Carr, I am reminded, I believe we need to send a memo to our Senate colleagues to ensure they know that you are not Delegate Carr, but Delegate Palakovich-Carr. So if we can get everyone on the committee to sign on to that, that would be great.
Can we spell her name phonetically so that they can pronounce it?
That might be too much to ask this year, Delegate Lasanti. Let's at least get them to realize it's a two-part name. That would be the first step. it was one in particular the other day, but it's been repeated. The next bill, Delegate Wilkins, Senate Bill 283.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senate Bill 283 is the Student and Military Voter Empowerment Act. You may remember that we passed the House version of this bill earlier in session. It includes a number of provisions to support college students and members of the military. So for example, for college students, ensuring that there's information about voting on college websites, appointing a voting coordinator and creating a voting plan on campuses. And for military members, it enables electronic submission of the federal postcard to register to vote. I do want to flag that the Senate bill does have a couple of differences between the House bill that we passed. One notable one is that it removes the 2 hours off for voting for college students. It also adds language that says that students may not be told how to vote or who to vote for, which was not the intent of this bill. So we're fine with stating that directly. And it's also, the Senate version also adds a few items that the higher education institution and local election boards would have to collaborate on if a polling place were to be located on the campus. So such as parking and campaign signs and things like that. There is an amendment on this bill, which is the same amendment that we passed in the House version. It just clarifies that the common access card is only for the purpose of verifying identity and electronically signing the form. I move the amendment.
Second.
Any questions? All right, all those in favor, I'm sorry, just the amendment first. All those in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Any opposed? And then on the bill as amended, Delegate Wilkins?
Move favorable.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Delegate Rose, Delegate Shoemaker. Party line minus Hornberger. It's the typical election law split, as has been pointed out to me. Senate Bill 596, Delegate Wilkins.
Although, Madam Chair, sorry to interrupt, but to be fair, Delegate Buckle also voted for that bill when it came across.
Oh. Thank you. Consistency is not something any of us are really good at, to be fair. Senate Bill 596, Delegate Wilkins.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senate Bill 596, Election Law, Early Voting Centers, Hours of Operation. As the title implies, this bill deals with the times that early voting centers would be open during our elections. You may remember with this bill as well that we passed this House version by Vice Chair Washington. This is a Washington bill, that's important to note. The House version that we passed said that the early voting times would be 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. This Senate version of the bill is 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. And we do want to move forward with the 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. because that just is consistent with the times of Election Day when those polls are open. So with this bill, both early voting and Election Day would be 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. No amendments on this bill. I move the bill favorable.
Second.
And there were no amendments. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Delegate Boatler? Okay, we were concerned that maybe we had missed a vote on one of the bills again. We did not, which is why we had to call people back yesterday. For those who missed that, there was a handful of you. That's, don't worry about it. Okay, we finished with that list. We do have 3 revenues bills that have concurrences. Delegate Lutke, start with House Bill 6.
Thank you, Madam Chair. House Bill 6 is the cross-file of that TEDCO bill we just dealt with. In order to make sure that we get the right language on it so that it applies to both HBCUs and WIs, we need to not concur and go to conference. Should we go to conference, the conferees are going to be Delegates Barnes, Feldmark, and Long. I move not to concur.
Second.
All right, any questions on that? All right, all those in favor of not concurring?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And if Delegate Barnes, Feldmark, or Long have any questions about that, reach out to Delegate Lutke and or George. Okay. The next one, Delegate Lukey.
Madam Chair, House Bill 7 has to do with the venison tax credit. There's a little bit of a disagreement between the two houses about how to deal with the issue of the venison tax credit, whether to convert it into a grant program or extend and increase it. So, we're going to go to conference and try to hash it out with them. Should we go to conference, the conferees are going to be myself, Delegate Ivy, and Delegate Buckle. Move not to concur.
I missed the names. You, Delegate Ivy, and who else?
Delegate Buckle.
Okay. I know that everyone is thinking right now, going to conference on this bill is exactly why you ran for office. So I could see it on everyone's faces. All right. Motion. Was there a second?
Second.
All those in favor of to not concur?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. And House Bill 654, Delegate Lukey.
House Bill 654 is a bill that we passed that makes some tweaks to the SBIR and TTIP program. The Senate added language that included a requirement that the SBIR support program had to do proactive outreach to MBEs. So that's obviously something we're very supportive of. So move to concur.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions? Delegate Lasanti.
How many acronyms can Delegate Lukey put into one sentence?
I come out of education. I spoke in acronyms my entire teaching career, so this is nothing.
I think he could do more than just two. So I was noticing that as well, Delegate Lasanti. If there's no other questions, all those in favor of the concurrence, easy for you to say. All those in favor of the concurrence?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, I think that's it for the concurrences. Or is there anything else? Any other announcements? I'll just start by saying, obviously, we'll be voting a lot next week, and it might even be in shorter timeframes. But we still have quite a few bills on our plate, and more than a few where we need to work out or iron out some differences with the Senate. So stay tuned. Any subcommittee announcements?
Yeah, no, not until next week. But I would like to say that those negotiation skills that I talked about yesterday worked.
All right. Nice.
Revenues will meet Tuesday at 1 p.m. hopefully for a rather extensive list of bills.
Those bills are already on the list for anyone who's curious about those revenue bills. Anybody else have anything specific in mind? I'm seeing the shaking heads. Anybody? All right, I'll see y'all back on the floor. And otherwise, have a good weekend if I don't see you again. Bye.
Madam Chair, could one of the analysts give me the vote count on SB 196?
And Delegate Smith, stay around if you're there. Ooh, we lost her.